Hello there Scapers, my name is Zenivilius and welcome to this video where I'm going to review the updates. It's Monday, so it's update day, and although these updates are nowhere near as significant or groundbreaking as updates such as the Back Criminal Bolts, the Hex Hunter Bow, the Ability Bar Binding update and so on, there are quite a few little updates that are quite important. Of course, the most obvious one, you may have noticed, is that the Mimic boss is now in game, and this time it's permanently in game. It's not a seasonal boss anymore, although not in the way you might think. But let's get started with all the patches that happened this week, starting with one that I found a little bit confusing, but yeah, it requires us to go to the top of the lighthouse because I don't have this in my bank. Anyway, if you want to get a Saradomin book, you will see that it is a blue color now, not white, because apparently it was too similar to the Armadillo book. However, the illuminated version hasn't been changed in color, which is a bit confusing for me, but whatever. So nice little update. The second thing is that any jewelry with charges will now display their charges rather than showing you a percentage of charges remaining. Obviously this is more useful. If you didn't know how you can get this, you can use something called the teleportation compactor at a very high invention level. I forget what the level is, but you can use that and combine several different jewelry of the same type and combine their charges to create one. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way that you lose this if you die. I died in Kuradal's dungeon using the ferocious ring. I think it was to Eros or something, and I lost all 150 of my charges, so rip. But hopefully they'll update that soon as well. You can also now reliably see the defense level required to equip an item by hovering your mouse over it. For example, level 80 to equip a Pernix body, level 85 to equip my Nightmare Gauntlets, level 90 to equip the Augmented Ascension crossbow, and level 99 to equip a trimmed comp cape, because obviously you can't get the trim without 99. So yeah, well, it doesn't actually show that, but it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Just messing with you guys. Next we have this Fletching Cape perk, which allows you to, well, gives you a chance to automatically string a bow when making unfinished bows, which will be sent to your bank. Now, in the rare occasion that your Fletcher strings a bow as well, which will also be sent into your bank, at the same time as your Fletching Cape perk procking, you can now be sure that both these items will be sent to your bank, so you won't lose out on any. Just a little thing, but little things are what we enjoy the most and we should appreciate the most, I think. That's why I'm making this video, to be honest. You can now left click on Elkoi to follow him. That is awesome. No one wanted to talk to him, they just want to follow him. That saved one click. Yeah, one click. No more right click required, just a left click. Awesome. Thank you Jagex for that. I feel sorry for Alcoy, but there you go. After the Shifting Tombs marathon that I did last week before getting the Sandy title, which now I have, we're gonna go back here to show you something that they did, something small but pretty useful. You now have a chance to obtain a soul talisman from Shifting Tombs, guys, from opening chests. Wait, no. Looting sarcophagi. So previously I don't think you could get anything by looting sarcophagi, but now you can get these soul talismans. At least you have a chance of getting them. A chance could mean anything, guys. It took me 15 hours to get the Corundum gem for my Sandy title. God knows how long it'll take to get one soul talisman from here. I wouldn't count on it, but let's give it a go anyway. Here we go. Can we get it? No, we can't, but we got a small Menaphos gift offering. Ooh, kebab. Nice, I'm hungry. And completely well, not completely unrelated, slightly unrelated, is that you can leave the Shifting Tomb as soon as humanly possible and still allow it to count towards your Shifting Tombs count. For example, over here, if you see Menaphos, I've just increased one. I was at 123 and I've gone to 124. There's no minimum time limit, and someone actually told me this, PM me and told me this, so thank you very much, sir. It will save me a lot of time. You probably don't want to do this. You either want to mine the rocks for the Corundum gem or do the Shifting Tomb for the XP and things, but if your only goal is to do as many tombs as possible for it to count towards your count of 200 for the Menaphos achievement, then you can just leave as soon as possible. The thing I really want to mention here is that Magister kills now count towards your Menaphos achievement. So Slay Bells or something, Slay Ring Bells or whatever it's called. Yeah, so I'm only 23 off the 10k mark to complete that one, which is very, very handy. Thank you very much, Jagex. If it didn't count, then Probably would have had to kill a bunch of soul devourers or something, but obviously that wouldn't have been much of an issue, but it's nice of Jagex to do that. I was thinking about that before. I was thinking whether it counted or not, but now I know that it counts, which is awesome. And as you can see, I've got 739 Magister kills, so another 23 to go. Hopefully I'll get the pet by then, and I can also finish that achievement. Hello Harold, my old friend. In fact, my new friend. In fact, my forever friend. My forever friend. Let's just stick to that. Right click him and go to rewards, and now you'll find that the aura refresh no longer gives you the wrong indication that it can only be used once per day. This is another did you know moment, because they updated this a few weeks ago now. Was it 2 weeks ago? With the aura management update. But essentially, you can refresh an aura as many times as you like, back to back to back, as long as you have enough Slayer points or Reaper points to buy these aura refreshers. It's no longer capped at once per day, which is awesome for non-stop PVM at the expense of your points. And another thing, if you didn't know, is that the point cap is 16k. You will get a warning in the chat box if you ever manage to get it to that point. I'm trying to get there so that I can make a video, I guess, of when I get there and use all my points on Hydrixes or something. But anyway, veering off topic. See ya, Death. Wouldn't want to be ya. Next we have a Wicked Hood update. Fairly simple, but useful, I suppose. Previously, if you did something that you couldn't possibly do, maybe your inventory was full, for example, with trust keys, because you're well prepared for the master clue rework, guys, like me. For example, if you try to withdraw essence with a full inventory, it would pop up in your chat box, but now there's an interface for it, which is nice. Also, they didn't have feedback for when you were left wondering why you couldn't make any more runes, because it wouldn't come up with a pop-up message, but now you will get that. But also, what you will also get is that, let's just make some water runes firstly. Cool, 100 runes from the hood. Nice. You will also get a message when you don't have any runes left. It's still in your chat box now, but you'll get one nevertheless, so that's pretty cool. Now, I must admit, I almost never ever use Crystallize, mainly because I'm not a skiller, but also because I'm just completely oblivious. The last time I used Crystallize was when I was cutting down these trees in the Imperial District VIP skilling area of Menaphos, and I was going for the gems and the insects for the Sandy title, and someone told me it's probably better for you to use Crystallize and just burn the logs in a bonfire for that particular insect and get this one as quickly as possible. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, mate. I thought I could AFK it, but unfortunately I couldn't, because I had to wait for the exact time that Crystallize went to 0 before I could recast it. So I had to time it exactly right. I could barely AFK it, but now you can click it at any point really for it to refresh. There you go. Even if it's almost full, you can click it. So a very useful update here for more AFK ability, and you guys must know by now that I love my AFK, which is why I got Trim. How else would I get yellow pixels without being a lover of the AFK Casa Wars life? Next up, guys, we have the BOB update. So previously the highest value single stack you could deposit into your BOB was 5 mils worth of items. Now you can see that this batch of Dagonoth Bones is worth just over 15 mil. They've increased it to 15 mil, so I should be able to deposit all of these into my BOB. So let's try that. Drag it over. No, I can't. As you can see, it's deposited one into my inventory and put the remaining into my familiar, because this is just below 15 mil. If I add that extra one, it will be just above. So pretty useful update, I suppose, depending on what you intend to use your BOB for. I personally won't benefit that much from this update, but say if you get a valuable drop from a boss or something that's worth, say, almost 15 mil but not quite, and you don't have space in your inventory, you might want to put it into your BOB and save some space that way. I can see it being useful at God Wars 1, for example. Usually drops on worth more than 5 mil there, but say you got like a Saradome in Hilt or something and you don't have invent space for it, then you can put it in your BOB. That's a very specific scenario. It'll be useful at far more places than that, to be honest. Next, we're going to try and travel to the Holy Island of Hentrana, previously known as the most annoying island to get to, because you would never know which items to take and which items you shouldn't be taking, but now it's much easier. So if you try to travel using a monk in Port Sarim, he will specifically tell you which items you can't take and you can deposit them into your bank. So for example, I'm just going to deposit everything, and that should be enough. You don't have to click on the deposit box separately. He will open up an interface for you to do that, so that's pretty handy, I suppose. Let's try that again. Is that your animal? What? You're calling Commander Zuliana, the last I seen on Gielinor, an animal? What the hell? That is rude, man. That is rude. Right, anyway, dismiss her. Sorry, Zuliana. Let's get going. So they should have added that alongside everything else, I suppose. Kind of defeats the purpose having two different interfaces for familiar and for items, but whatever. We are on Entrana here. Yay! We punched a zombie to death. Well, to death beyond death, maybe? And we got ourselves a bronze hatchet. No, this is not an Iron Man, guys. I'm still on my main. I just wanted to show you guys something else. Wait, what? No, I can't go back up to Entrana to show you guys. What a fail. BRB. I wonder where this magic door will take us. Narnia, perhaps? To Narnia and beyond. Wait, where are we? Looks like we're in Draenor Village. What the hell? Okay then. So what I actually wanted to show you guys was how the same thing applies on the way to Entrana when using a hot air balloon. So for example, this is the one in Tavali. If you want to travel to Entrana, you won't be allowed to. I must search you first, and you get the same message, so you can deposit the items that are forbidden. For example, I'm not going to deposit them, I'm going to disassemble them. But anyway, hot air balloons, one of the probably the most scientifically accurate human-made flight system in Gielinor, and no one ever uses it. I wish they would give it a revamp, but it was fun to do for the trim comp requirement at least. Okay, now to get onto the more serious updates, I suppose. The more significant ones, should I say. A lot to do with Demonheim, but firstly, there was an issue where if you equipped your two-handed ranged Sun Spear, it would not switch to your two-handed ranged bar using ability bar binding, but now that's been fixed. So number 8 is my two-handed bar and it's switched to it, and obviously number 3 is my dual wield bar. So that's, oh, who's that? That's creepy, man. What the hell? That's creepy. Alright, let's pretend that didn't happen. Yeah, action bar settings, you can now specify generic styles, not just specifically ranged dual wield. So let's just take off ranged dual wield and ranged two-handers. There you go. And just say all ranged. Cool. All ranged. It will switch to it hopefully, and then switch back to number 3 for example. It should still switch to number 8. There we go. So pretty cool. I don't want that personally, but it is good to know that it's a possible option. Thank goodness that guy went. That was so creepy, guys. Now for the pop-up system, as I like to call it, the warning system, deposit system, whatever you want to call it. Would you like to start a party? Yes, I do. Floor 1, sure, why not? Complexity 1. I want to rush this one. So complexity 1, let's go in. So again, you get the same interface when you're going into Demonheim, which is useful, I suppose. You must deposit all of your items other than Ring of Kinship. I guess that will apply every single time. So it's not going to be unique regardless of what you have. So I'm just going to drink my Perfect Plus potion. Unfortunately, you won't be able to deposit it over here. You need to actually go to the bank. A few steps there. Too much effort. Exhausting, I know. Exhausting. But it's got to be done. So put it all in there. And let's get right in. So I want to show you guys something else that they have come out with. Actually, let me switch my action bars to something silly. So when I enter this dungeon, no, I do not want to choose the boss. It will automatically switch my action bar. As you can see, it switched my action bar to my melee two-handed action bar. Previously, it did not automatically switch it when you entered the dungeon, but now it does. And also, something I didn't mention in my previous ability bar binding video was that ability bar binding does work inside dungeoneering as well. And I completely forgot about it, probably because I have 200 mil here, so I never really thought about coming back here. But it's going to be so useful for Dunge, because Dunge is a skill where you need to be able to switch between styles a lot, and I mean a hell of a lot. So yeah, it's going to be pretty useful. I mean, I'll just showcase it, I suppose. So how do we do this? So let's move our Sagittarian bow. There we go. Two-handed ranged. What else? Corpse Thorn 1. That didn't work. I don't have a dual wield mage bar, I don't think. But Catagon Rapier. There we go. Our dual wield melee bar. So pretty handy for Dunge. Although this isn't perfect, I've mentioned this in the previous video, they need to do a lot more work to make these kinds of things actually pretty useful. For example, apply this bar binding to multiple bars on screen, extend the number of bars you can display on screen, apply this to your ring of kinship as well. So when you switch to a weapon, you don't just want your bar to switch, you want your ring of kinship speciality to switch as well. You want your prayers to switch as well if you can. So there's a lot of work to be done by Jagex, but it's a good start. I hope they don't stop at this and they're sort of thinking, oh, that's enough for now, let's forget about this. No, we would really like it to be extended. There's a lot of good stuff going on here, guys. My fear, like I've been saying, is that they will not build upon it. For possibly the most important patch, the most significant patch, is that they've added the second ever global cooldown bypassing ability. The first one was Bladed Dive. Now it is, where is the pet? I need to evoke it. Where is it? Ah, there you go. It bypasses the global cooldown, guys, so I can evoke outside of the global cooldown. Wait, what? I'm gonna die, guys! I'm gonna die. I'm bad at this. Still doesn't mean that you can cast Provoke indefinitely. Obviously it has its own cooldown, but it does bypass the global cooldown. So when it jumps again, I can... What? Oh, I was stunned. That was a bad example. Okay, so yeah, it's on the DPS pile. I need to evoke it. There we go. Oh, for God's sake, stop jumping around. Please jump so I can show this. So I'm going to cast an ability and then I'm going to cast an ability, instantly evoke. And there you go, it did evoke. Ah, it's on cooldown now. Really? There we go. Gosh dang it. I hate Tuz, guys. I really do. This is a bit of a joke, isn't it? Alright, so the last few patches I'm going to showcase at none other than Araxyte. But first I'm going to create my first ever ranged defender. These guys came out more than 2 years ago now. 2 years and 2 months ago. Bloody hell, time flies. And I vowed never to make a ranged defender because I thought they were entirely and utterly useless, and I still think so, except for very niche situations. But whatever, let's go. Ranged defender, Carol's crossbow, and Tainted Repriser. Nice. What? That looks like a blob of some goo or something. But anyway, there we are. That is a Tainted Repriser apparently, and it looks like a crossbow to me, but it will serve as a shield for the purpose of Araxyte. So let's get going. Good old Ectophile, back to the 2014 days when I had to use this before Maxcape portals were out, and the reason for that is I'm not going to waste 100k for one Araxyte kill, guys. Alright, for the last one I'm going to panic a little bit by showing you Immortality, when if I can actually get it to work without killing Araxyte, please. There we go. So hopefully this will kill me. If it doesn't, there we go. And we can run off 1.2 seconds earlier than we would have been able to, which is pretty handy. Not so much for Araxyte unless you're doing this method for maximizing your pet chance. I made a video guide about how to maximize your Araxyte base pet chance if you want to check that out. That ability to run back off after Immortality 1.2 seconds earlier than you were able to is much more useful at somewhere like Telos or Virago, especially Telos really. There are a few other Telos updates, but I'm just too scared to go to Telos, guys. I'm going to get absolutely shreked. And I haven't done a 100% enrage kill since I did my trim requirement. I need to go back there at some point, but there are a few Telos updates as well, such as if you attack a golem, it will now appear on top of Telos when Telos is siphoning a font, so that you will only be able to see the golem, and Telos's anima bar will reset correctly if you use Immortality and you survive his insta-kill attack in phase 5. Can't say I've tried any of these, but there you go. Probably one of the more useful updates, which I'm going to end with here, is that you can now... I got something nice. You can now teleport out without having to right click and leave. You can just leave like this. ModPie teased this earlier. They've also teased a few updates to future quality of life improvements in the coming weeks and months, but yeah, that's a pretty handy one, not gonna lie. It would have been very useful when I did Araxyte, but not so much now personally, but I can see it being very useful for players, saving a few seconds and a bit of inconvenience. And last but not least, we have the return of the Mimic boss, this time a permanent addition to Gielinor. So firstly, you'll get a free token, a free untradeable token that is, from the Mimic chest in Berthorpe, which will grant you a free kill and obviously a free loot crate. The size of the loot crate you'll get will depend on the difficulty level of the Mimic that you kill, of course. The elite Mimic being the most profitable, dropping the huge loot crate. But of course, it's also the hardest one to kill. You only have 2.5 minutes to kill it. It is basically a DPS race with 3 special attacks. If you haven't killed it before in some of the promotions, I think they were in 2016, there were 2 promotions. It's basically got 3 special attacks. The charge attack, where it will sort of shake and charge up a, well, I guess charge towards a player. You just need to move away from where you're standing. The coin launch is basically when it starts spitting out coins. It's pretty deadly. 7.2k is the max hit on elite difficulty, so you want to move around a lot to avoid this one. And the last one is a bit like the Ripper Demon special, except that it doesn't guarantee your death, but it does almost kill you if you don't move out the way when it jumps up. So pretty easy. There's also one more where it will spawn 2 minions which will heal it, so you need to kill those minions before you can continue attacking it. But all in all, it's a very easy fight. I wouldn't try elite unless you've had a few goes, practice mode goes that is. And of course, if you don't kill it in 2 minutes 30, you can always try again. Your token won't be consumed until you actually kill it within the time allotted. And you do have a chance to get the Mimic pet by killing the Mimic on any difficulty that is. You can also get the Mimic plushie and the Mimic tongue cape. You have a chance of it anyway if you do either hard or elite difficulty. And the huge loot crate can also give you a bunch of tradable and untradeable items. The most important untradeable items, I suppose, are the scrimshaws of aggression, corruption and sacrifice, which are very useful for Slayer especially. But you can also get a bunch of other token rewards which you can sell on. Now after your free kill, the only way to get kills is either to get tokens from skilling or PVM like you do treasure hunter keys, but also by buying it from the GE. So the choice is yours really. Do you want to buy it from the GE and just do some kills, risking a loss if you don't get a valuable item to sell back off, or just do it for fun, I suppose. It's not an Intake Final Boss requirement, although they might change it, and the reason for that is probably the way it works. You can't camp it for loots. Not really anyway. I mean, I guess you could, but not really. So that is the Mimic update. It's back in the game, so it should be pretty fun to kill. I found it reasonably fun, not too difficult. Bit of a weird boss if I'm going to be perfectly honest, but it's good to see that they're veering away from sort of one-time content. Spending a lot of development time and taking off the content doesn't really make any sense, does it? But all in all, this week's been very, very good. I've missed out a few updates, such as casting Heal Other in PvP, which may no longer be used on targets in single way PvP zones. Familiarization now resets on Wednesdays instead of every 7 days, guys. That's actually pretty good, isn't it? At least you have a bit of continuity there. And the Slayer Co-op Potion ability now works inside the Sophanum Slayer dungeon. So a few others there, you can have a look in the description below. But it's been a pretty good week for patches. They have teased quite a few. Mod Harrison recently posted on Twitter about an update to the Slayer counter, which will now also be able to show your Reaper task and your Reaper task kills without having to check your gem every time. Very small update, but something that a lot of people I'm sure will appreciate. These are the kind of updates that people enjoy. Simple but very useful. And Mod Shawnee also has been working on his buff bar icons, such as the Dragon Slayer, the Demon Slayer and the Undead Slayer perks, now showing only when you are fighting eligible monsters. So it should be pretty useful because there are a lot of monsters which you're not sure about. For example, Rots, I recently found out, does count as an undead monster for the purposes of the Undead Slayer perk, which is very useful to know if you're going to be camping Rots for a long time. Instead of putting on your DPS perks for general bossing, you might want to put your Undead Slayer perk on your armor instead. So look out for updates like that. Personally, the things I'm looking forward to this month are the Clue Scroll update and possibly double XP weekend. I'm not that motivated because I'm trimmed, but I may come on for a bit. So yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.